Okay, very good morning to all of you in the second session of class 9 physics, the chapter motion which we have started. So in this session we'll be talking about speed and velocity. Now if I were to tell you in very simple words, speed is distance by time, and in very simple words, velocity is displacement by time. So if I have to say to you in very basic terminology, then speed is distance divided by time and velocity is displacement divided by time. This is the basic definition of speed and velocity, right? Now the fact is that if a body is moving from a point A to point B, okay, if a body is moving from point A to point B and the distance from A to B is 10 kilometers, and so the distance from A to B is 10 kilometers and the time taken is 1 hour. So suppose there is a body which is going straight from A to B, straight, okay, and the distance from A to B is 10 kilometers and the time from A to B is 1 hour, suppose. So in that case, the speed and the velocity of the body both will be 10 kilometers per hour, right? So if a body is going from A to B, distance of 10 kilometers and time taken is 1 hour, then the speed and velocity both are 10 kilometers per hour. But remember what I told you about displacement. In displacement you have to specify the direction. So you have to say the displacement is from A to B. So when you say speed, you can say 10 kilometers per hour is the speed, fine. But when you say velocity, you have to say 10 kilometers per hour from A to B. So point to note that since speed is distance by time, it is not related to direction, but since velocity is displacement by time, in velocity you will have to give the direction also, right? Another thing is, speed is distance by time. Distance is the length of the journey, the actual length of the journey, so that will be positive, so speed is also positive. But velocity is displacement by time, and displacement can be positive or negative because displacement takes into account direction. So if you go from A to B, your displacement is say positive, then if you return from B to A, the displacement will be negative. So velocity can be negative also because it is the displacement by time. And you may recall that displacement, when we discussed it, we said it could be zero. So velocity also, if it is going from A to B, and now there is a small issue that if a body, is changing its direction while moving, right? So if a body is changing its direction while moving, then speaking of velocity doesn't make sense, because suppose if this body goes from A to B and stops, then you can say that during the journey speed and velocity both are 10 km per hour. It's fine, no problem. And you can say velocity is 10 km per hour from A to B. It's fine. But suppose the body reaches B and returns to A. So if it returns to A, that means its direction has changed. So when the direction changes, then talking about velocity doesn't make sense. I'll just explain why. See, if the body goes from A to B and returns to A, if you use the formula displacement by time, the answer will come zero. But in day-to-day life, do you ever say the body is moving from A to B and coming back with zero velocity? Have you ever heard this kind of a sentence? It is completely nonsensical. It doesn't make any sense. So if you say the body went from A to B and came back from B to A and velocity is zero, it doesn't make sense. So what the scientists said, they said let speed be just called speed and nothing else. It has no direction, it is always positive, right? And speed will not be zero unless the body is absolutely still. If a body is absolutely still, it's not moving at all, only then the speed will be zero, otherwise speed will not be zero. If a body is moving, there will be some speed. Now velocity, if the body is only moving in one particular direction and never changing the direction, then you can call it as velocity. If the direction is changing, then velocity is not very useful, like I told you. then instead of that you should use instantaneous velocity and average velocity. So if the direction of motion of the body is changing, then instead of velocity you should use instantaneous velocity and or average velocity, any one. Let me explain to you what is the difference. So if the body is going from A to B, right, it is going with a velocity of 10 km per hour from A to B. So the instantaneous velocity while it was going from A to B was, let us say, plus 10 km per hour. Plus, I am taking this as plus. Now when the body is returning back from B to A, the instantaneous velocity will be minus 10 km per hour because it is going in the opposite direction. So while going from A to B, it is plus 10 km per hour. While returning from B to A, it is minus 10 km per hour. So the instantaneous velocity while going is plus 10 and while returning is minus 10. But what about the average velocity? So average velocity is total displacement by time. You can say total time or you can just say time. So total displacement by time. So that means that when you say average velocity, you are saying it went from B to A, it came back from, went from A to B, came back from B to A. So after the entire thing was over, the overall displacement was how much? 0. And time, we are not bothered how much it is because 0 by anything is 0. So this is what the scientists thought, a very nice, interesting approach. They said that if you have a body moving in only one direction, then you can just say velocity and you can say what is that direction. Fine. But if a body is moving with a change of direction, then saying velocity alone will not make any sense. So you should either say instantaneous velocity, that is velocity at a particular moment, or you should say average velocity, that will be the overall displacement by the overall time. Okay, and one more thing, the unit I have used kilometer per hour. So actually kilometer per hour is the SI unit. Just a minute. Kilometer per hour is the most common unit, but the SI unit is meter per second. Okay, you know that SI is a international body which has governed the units that we should take. Otherwise, people will take whatever they want. So kilometer per hour is the standard unit. Normally we use kilometer per hour, but otherwise the SI unit is meter per second. We use meter per second also, like speed of light 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. And just remember that 1 kilometer per hour is 5 by 18 meter per second, right? 1 kilometer per hour, it will be 5 by 18 meter per second. Okay, so this is the topic for today. Okay, this is the topic for today, and speed and velocity. Now what I would like all of you to do is your homework for the next session. That means you have to submit the homework by 9 p.m. tomorrow, 9 p.m. Thursday. Your homework is that you will have to write down a table with speed and velocity, 2 columns, one column for speed, 1 column for velocity, and you will have to write 3 points of comparison, 3 points. Okay, first column will be speed and second column will be velocity. Another thing I want to tell you, that please don't just watch the videos, make notes, because you cannot always excuse me. ওকে, আর ওটা আপনি রাস্তায় রানিং দিয়ে কলাটা দিয়ে দেবেন আর ওখানে পৌঁছে দিন, আর ওটার ব্যালেন্সটা ওখানে দিয়ে দেবেন। So just make notes, because I don't think that till the time you have submitted your homework, you can see the video once, twice, thrice, till you submit the homework. After you have submitted the homework, okay, So after you have submitted the homework, okay, on a later date, you want to have a recap of the topic. So instead of again watching the video, it would be better that in the very first instance, just before you submit the homework, make sure you have written down everything that has been explained in the video. Write down all the points in a copy so that in later date, when you need a recap, you can open your copy. You don't have to keep opening the video. Till the time you submit your homework, you can go on replaying the video. Maybe you want to hear something again. Maybe you missed a point, or you just want to hear again what is the homework. After you have submitted the homework, you should only rely on your copy, so that on a later date when you need a recap, you can just look at your copy, right? So this is the topic for today, and submit the homework by 9 p.m. Thursday. Bye all of you.